Hi, I'm Brandon, and I'm here to talk to you about Vortex. So at the beginning, the counting's pretty easy. It just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you start out piano, but the bow stroke, you have to keep it pesante, it says. So that means heavy and into the string with a little bit of brush. So make sure you keep it quiet, piano. And make sure your up bows and your down bows sound the same. Because the big problem is sometimes the down bows will sound heavier and louder than the up bows, so just make sure they sound the same. And then when you get to measure 2, you have a crescendo into measure 3. But what we're doing is going into 3, we crescendo up to about mezzo forte, and then we drop back down to piano. And then through 3 to 4, we crescendo again and drop back down at 5, except a little bit less drop this time. And then we crescendo again through 7. This time we don't drop to 7. We stay at forte, and then we crescendo all the way through 9, and then once we get to 10, we decrescendo as the cellos pick up and continue the line. So 19, the basses come back in on the upbeat with an A. So similar bow stroke, just 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get to measure 20, you have the moving notes where it goes. Those moving notes, make sure you bring them out because those are the most interesting part the basses have at that point. Same with 22, we have B, C sharp. Make sure you bring all those out. And then 27, we have a sudden drop to piano, so just make sure you're trudging along forte the whole time and then you drop down to piano. Same bow stroke still. Very similar to the beginning here at 27. And then 35, make sure whenever you hit that downbeat, make sure you put a nice accent on it, very loud, fortissimo, and then hold it for the full value of a cordoneso. Don't cut it short. Make sure you keep it going the whole one beat. And then if you look at 36, right before 37, we have a sforzando with an accent, so it's very strong, but make sure you drop down pretty quick. So. And then you hold that for the whole measure, so make sure you save your bow, plan it out. And then once you get to 37, that's when the basses and the cellos actually get the melody. So let's count through it real quick. So 2, this is 37. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3, and so on. So I'm just going to play through that real quick while counting to help you see it. So ready, go. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 4, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3. So not that hard, just eighth notes, quarter notes with a couple half notes thrown in there. Continuing on, 45, we're still fortissimo, so drop down just a little bit of 45, not quite fortissimo because the violins have the melody. So, but also the bow stroke is very similar to the beginning, even though you have eighth notes now. So it's just like so similar, and also if you notice, you have the E, F natural like you did in the beginning. Here we go. So make sure you bring that out just like you did before, even though it's eighth notes. And then continue, same bow stroke. 52, you pass the coda, you don't go to the coda yet. So you move on to 53 where you drop down to piano. And then crescendo through. This is the same bow stroke, same dynamics as the beginning, except this time you go up to a C instead of just continuing on the D. And then you move down to B. And then this whole time there's retard starting at 55. So just make sure you watch whoever's conducting. And then, because it's going to slow down quite a lot actually. And then once you get to 59, you keep slowing down actually. And you have that little melody part right there, where it goes 1 and 2, 3, 4, 3. So make sure you hold that tied note that starts on beat 4 of 59. Make sure you hold it all the way to beat 3 of 60. So that's 3 beats you have to hold that note. And then you go down to the C, those last 2 beats of 60. Decrescendoing the whole time. Make sure you decrescendo, especially going into that C. Then at 61, you hit the andante cantabile, which is a lot slower and more lyrical and legato. So drop down the piano, and then you just keep going with half notes. There's a few accidentals in here. Make sure whenever you hit 64, there's an F up here, F natural, and then make sure you play first finger in half position for the F natural down here. And then once you get to 65, play first finger B flat, make sure you're still in half position. And then 66, make sure, in your part you might have a 1 marked for half position. It should be a 2 for E natural, and then down to open E. And then make sure you play C sharp, 4th finger in first position in 67. 68, there is a pizzicato marked. So the downbeat of 68, the D, is still arco, but then you go into pizzicato on the 2nd beat. So you have to make sure you bring your bow up really fast to get there. So like that. 69, lots of pizzicato. Just make sure you're counting in between those notes to make sure you don't come in early. So make sure you breathe and don't rush. Very similar to the legato passage before, just pizzicato. Moving into 77, there's a decrescendo going into piano, and then we come in arco on beat 3 of 77, and we crescendo all the way to 79 where we get the melody. So make sure you're still legato there, so make sure you keep using lots of bow and crescendo through that. Now when we get to 79, it says espressivo, so be very expressive in your playing, and that's where the cellos and basses get the melody again. So let's count that real quick. It's a lot similar to what 37 was. So 2, ready, go. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3. So very repetitive, every 2 bars is the same counting. Now the hard part about this is the shifting and the fingerings. So 79, you start on A, so just 1, open at 1, and then shift down just a little bit, half step. So put your 2nd finger where C sharp would be.